Americans are tired of this stuff. It's one of the reasons why President Trump is, in fact, president. And it's one of the reasons why President Trump has now authorized his administration to stop parroting the woke propaganda for the month of June. We have now entered the month of June. And as we all know, June is the greatest month on the American calendar because it is a month of miracles and happiness and joy, specifically queer joy, because June, of course, is Pride Month, the month when we are all supposed to pretend that the most important thing about any human being is their sexual orientation and that all of America must celebrate this together. And that is what Pride Month is all about. Well, I have some Pride Month stories. It's not going the way that many people on the left were hoping Pride Month was going to go. So, for example, the U.S. military has now decided that they are going to rename a ship. There is a Navy ship that is called USS Harvey Milk. That was always an absurdity of absurdities. Harvey Milk was not a member of the military. Harvey Milk had no impact on military policy. Harvey Milk was a San Francisco Board of Supervisors member in the 1970s who was shot to death after 11 months on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and became a sort of martyr for the so-called gay rights cause. He also happened to be a guy who was stooping a 16-year-old boy. So, he was, in common parlance, committing a crime. So Harvey Milk had legitimately nothing to do with the military. He served in the Navy during the Korean War. That's literally his only connection to the military. That was also true of millions of other people who served in World War II or the Korean War or the Vietnam War. The U.S. Navy ship Harvey Milk was originally named in 2016 by Ray Mabus under Barack Obama. Okay, the idea that we were naming a Navy ship after a man who was only famous for being a San Francisco gay rights activist who was killed in 1978 by a fellow member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors who was mad that he had been fired and that he wasn't getting his full salary. Like that's ridiculous. Like if you're going to name Navy ships, typically you are going to name them after, naval heroes. You're typically going to name them after people who had an impact on military policy. You're going to name them after places. Name it. The U.S. Navy ship RuPaul should not be a thing. And it was always ridiculous to suggest that we were going to name our Navy ships after sort of DEI heroes in American life. And yet that is what Barack Obama was all about. It was deliberately silly by the Obama administration. And now that's being walked back by the Trump administration during Pride Month of all times. According to the Washington Post, the Pentagon is planning to strip the name from a Navy ship that honors the gay rights icon Harvey Milk, who, by the way, was also stooping a 16-year-old, which is against the law, and could expand the purge to include other vessels recognizing prominent civil rights figures, defense officials said Tuesday. Deliberations, officials said, are ongoing after a recent order by Hegseth to Navy Secretary John Phelan, with the decision to be announced as soon as mid-June to coincide with Pride Month, which President Trump has rejected celebrating because, of course, typically, Pride is considered a sin. You should not celebrate sin. I know that this word sin has gone out of common usage. I get it. But it is kind of weird that what you're actually celebrating during Pride Month is the sin of pride. In any case, it was unclear when or even if any other Navy vessels honoring civil rights figures could see their titles changed. Sean Parnell, a spokesperson for Hegseth, released a statement acknowledging a review is underway that could result in the renaming of Defense Department installations and resources. In other words, we are no longer going to be painting our bombs with trans pride flags, which to me is a good thing. So in honor of Pride Month, no more U.S. Navy ship Harvey Milk. It is amazing this ever happened in our country, truly. That you name a Navy ship after a guy who is mostly famous for just being a gay rights activist in San Francisco. Truly unbelievable. And meanwhile, in other bad news for the advocates of Pride Month, it turns out that Algeria's Imen Khalif, who was a gold medal winner at the last Paris Olympics in boxing, you may recall, is a dude. I know that was perfectly obvious by looking at him, but it turns out that now a leaked medical report shows that the Algerian boxer was abnormal, stating, quote, chromosome analysis reveals male karyotype. So XY, in other words. I know we were not supposed to notice that, and it was supposed to be a giant shock. But yeah, they covered it up because a man was beating up the ladies at the Olympics. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. Did you know that somebody can literally steal your house? I don't mean like they jack it up on a truck or something, but the value in your home actually can be stolen. A scammer can forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, and spend about $40 to file it at the county recorder. Then they can take out loans using your home as collateral. You won't even know it's happening until you start getting collection and foreclosure notices in the mail. Can you imagine if you or someone you cared about became a victim of these scams? That would be incredibly sad and frustrating, especially knowing there are people out there like Home Title Lock who can help keep an eye on your title. Most people never check on their home title once escrow closes. That's why it's critical to find out right now if you're already a victim by going to HometitleLock.com. They'll give you a free title history report and provide you with $1 million triple lock protection to help keep your home and equity safe. That's why I recommend and am proud to partner with Home Title Lock. Many people at the Daily Wire, including people on this team, trust Home Title Lock to protect what's likely one of their biggest assets. Again, protecting the value in your home is probably your biggest asset. You need to protect it. Get 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts if there are any changes, and if fraud does happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title. When you go to HometitleLock.com and use promo code Shapiro right now, you can get a free 14-day trial and a title history report and find out if you're already a victim. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Shapiro. Speaking of which, California continues to push forward the absurdity of boys racing against girls while pretending to be girls. According to SoapCentral.com, A.B. Hernandez, a transgender high school athlete, has been making waves on social media after winning 2 events, including the high jump and triple jump at the California State Track and Field Championships, as per KCRA. Hernandez is 16 years old and from Jurupa Valley, California, and her recent participation under the new rule change has caused nationwide controversy. His participation. As part of the new rule by the California Interscholastic Federation, if a trans athlete earns a top position, the next highest ranking cisgender athlete can also share the placement and also receive a medal, as per The Guardian. Yeah, but if you put the dude at the top of the podium, and then you're like, yeah, but we'll put like an extra girl at the bottom of the podium so that she can be like number 4 and 3 are kind of tied. How does that make the girls feel any better? They're still standing there below a boy at the top of the podium. Hernandez won first place in the high jump, where he cleared 5 feet 7 inches without any failed attempts. He shared first place with 2 other athletes, Jolene Wetland and Lilani LaRue. He also won first place in the triple jump and received a gold medal and second place in the long jump. The whole thing is unbelievably silly, of course. There was a plane that was flown over the track and field state championship that read, "No boys in girls sports." The Independent Council on Women's Sports and Women Are Real, which is Riley Gaines's group, were the 2 groups that took credit for flying the banner during the event. And good for them, because the American people are not in favor of this. It is not only silly, it is insulting to women and girls and harms girls when they have to compete against boys. Well, some businesses have been getting the notice that Americans are no longer on board for this sort of social radicalism. Others have not. One of the groups that has not, sadly, is MLB, Major League Baseball. 29 of MLB's 30 teams are celebrating Pride Month. They're coming to literally every major league ballpark, apparently. Not sure why any of that is necessary. The Rangers are the only MLB team that has never waded into the LGBT messaging during Pride Month, according to the Daily Wire. In response to questions about skipping Pride Month events, the team said last year, quote, "Our long-standing commitment remains the same, to make everyone feel welcome and included in Rangers baseball, in our ballpark at every game, and in all we do for both our fans and our employees. We deliver on that promise across our many programs to have a positive impact across our entire community," which is the way that you actually ought to treat your fans, by the way. 6 teams changed their official logos on social media to include some version of the pride flag. Another 11 teams wrote a post acknowledging Pride Month. It is obviously the most lib cities that decided to go ahead and change their entire logos, like the Mets, New York, and Baltimore Orioles, and the Washington Nationals, and the Philadelphia Phillies. San Francisco, of course, the Giants. None of that is a super giant shock. However, is this the sort of stuff that is going to drive viewership for the lagging MLB? Absolutely not. The game of classic Americana, catering to the most radical social policies, is one of the silliest marketing fails I can imagine. Truly a silly marketing fail. And it's failed for everybody. Disney continues its string of layoffs, according to the Daily Wire. According to Reuters, Disney is now preparing to conduct mass layoffs that will affect hundreds of employees across various departments, including film and TV, publicity, casting, development, and corporate finance. I mean, maybe that's because, again, so much of their content has been woke trash for the last 10 years or so. Snow White, of course, was a massive bust. The live-action remake supposedly cost $115 million based on a $410 million budget. It only earned a worldwide box office gross of $195 million. Major problems with Snow White. The movies that have been doing okay for Disney are, of course, basically remakes of classic Disney without any of the woke involved in it. It's a Lilo and Stitch remake. It's a big business at the box office. No shock there. Well, actually, there's some people on the right side of the aisle who think that the new Lilo and Stitch movie is in fact woke. It appears to me to be, if it's woke, it's less woke than Snow White. So by comparison, they're moving in maybe the right direction a little bit, but it's just indicative of a change in the American mindset. Americans are tired of this stuff. It is one of the reasons why President Trump is in fact president. And it's one of the reasons why President Trump has now authorized his administration to stop parroting the woke propaganda for the month of June. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.